good morning, and welcome to another edition of Sunrise on Channels Television. I'm Govt Rogers.
And I'm Yomi Otaigbe. It's a beautiful morning here in Lagos. I don't know what the weather is like in your area, but it's bright and early here, and there's no traffic, at least from the side that I came from this morning. But it's indeed a beautiful day.
And talking about that traffic, there's no traffic now, but come the next 6 weeks,
we might be experiencing, did I just say we might? We will experience some form of heavy traffic on the Kara end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It's expansion and rehabilitation of some of
those
the parts of the bridge. So it's something that we all have to brace up for. If you don't have anything you want to do here on this axis, that's the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway from Berger outwards, you should just reconsider coming to that side.
Right. Well, you said if you have nothing to do, would you say almost everyone has something to do on that axis? Because, you know, there's always someone traveling, even if it's not just about Ibadan or your state or Ogun State. A lot of people traveling out of state will usually ply that route along
but if you want to consider the traffic that is expected, even though the FRSC say they are going to be on ground to ensure that things will move swiftly and as smooth as possible, but it's something that we should all expect.
Yes.
We should expect that there's going to be that heavy traffic, and road users too would need to do better.
Yes, I wanted to say so that an appeal to road users. This is not the time to take, you know, to face oncoming traffic. You know, when the people take one way when they're not supposed to. You know, and because they cause more harm than good, they create more chaotic scenes that is necessary. We always say that if everybody is orderly, even if there are road diversions, traffic will still move better. It's just that everybody needs to be disciplined and be able to, you know, do that. And I think we're going to
we have the sector commander, the Lagos sector commander for the Federal Road Safety Corps.
That's Kehinde Hamzat.
Yes, Mr. Kehinde Hamzat, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hello, Mr. Hamzat.
I'm with you.
Thank you for joining us. So what's the plan to ensure that we don't feel so much of that heavy traffic that is expected when the rehabilitation of the Kara end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway begin on Monday?
Lot of plans have been put in place. I want us to know that we did not just start today. The program started since about 2 or 3 weeks ago. When the way and manner it was planned had some negative effects, which we tried as much as possible to mention to the contractor as well as the Federal Ministry of the Controller of Works, Federal Controller of Works, Ogun State, which he actually listened to. That was why they temporarily stopped the project, such that we can re-strategize. And the strategy is completed. By the grace of God, it is expected to commence on Monday. And when it starts on Monday, we've discussed with other sister agencies, the LASMA, the TRACE, the police, even the military, and of course, the lead agency in traffic management, FRSC, are there to ensure that people drive seamlessly. We cannot overemphasize the fact that there will be backlog of vehicles inward Lagos for that of Monday, because the road will be out. Don't forget, that corridor is about 14.5 meters. I'm talking of one of the traffic lane is 14.5 meters. So they have done half part of it, which is about 7.25. So they're shifting to the other lane now. So the good lane will ensure effective traffic movement. And because of the traffic volume, it is expected that there will be little backlog, but there will be so much of traffic management such that people will not be allowed to drive against the flow of traffic. Attitude of drivers make things worse at times. So we need to change this attitude of driving against traffic. If it's a moving traffic, over time, everybody would go safely. But a situation where somebody is driving against the flow of traffic and block the other lane that is supposed to be free, it will be unfortunate. The new thing we injected into it that will make it faster, we're looking at a period of 6 weeks, but it will have taken a period of 12 weeks. So these are the areas we looked into such that it will have minimum impact in terms of days. Be that as it may, we discussed with the contractor as well as the Federal Controller of Works in Ogun State, and instead of taking it in half, for example, on Kara Bridge, we have 2 expansion joints. So which means if it is halved, the expansion joint will be 4 to be fixed. But because we have discussed, they have finished 2 of the expansion joints, the remaining 2 will be taken simultaneously instead of taking it one after the other. That was what we agreed, such that everybody will be on the same page. The military, the police, LASMA, Trace, Road Safety will be there. And let me warn at this point, there will be serious enforcement of people driving against traffic. And the moment you are caught, be rest assured that you'll be prosecuted. So let us move in stream such that we will go peacefully one after the other, instead of trying to create problems where there should be none. Thank you.
Right. I was just telling my, colleague here, my co-presenter, that's the concern I raised with her, that we need to enforce discipline among commuters and drivers, because this Kara axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is almost non-negotiable. That anybody traveling out of Lagos State, anybody coming into Lagos State from other parts of the country, it's the most popular routes. There are a few other routes that you can use, like the Ikorodu axis and Ekpe and all that, but this is the fastest and most popular. So how do we want to maintain discipline, apart from having sister agencies out there trying to control traffic and ensure that people are orderly? People will always try to do what's not right. And, what's going to happen?
Like you just mentioned, if you don't have reason to move along the corridor, please avoid it, so that there will be less volume of traffic on that road. And if it is possible to join other friends, so that we're trying to look at a situation where we can reduce traffic volume on the corridor, so that the backlog cannot be too much. For example, if there is a crash or an obstruction of 1 minute on that Lagos-Ibadan Express, it might interest you to know that we can have over 1 kilometer of a backlog of traffic. So, but if it is a moving traffic, no matter, not minding the fact that the road has been halved, if it is a moving one, over time, the pool will move, especially when we get to off-peak period, there won't be backlog. The only area where we are looking at is that off-peak U-turn. Off-peak U-turn. We are going to devise a means by which the people turning will have their own lane, will so much cone it, such that people who are going straight towards Ibadan will go through the right part of the lane, and people who are making a U-turn will make it. Unfortunately, the little hiccup is when they get to the grid point, they will still have to slow down, which will cause some backlog into Ogun. But with time, it will flow in. And when we are talking of 6 weeks, it's not just the Kara Bridge that formed this 6 weeks. We're looking at Magboro and, of course, Arepo Bridge. All this put together is what we're looking at for 6 weeks. And the most important one is the one they want to work on now, which will take about a week or thereabout, or 2, which is the Kara. If Kara is free, the load coming from Arepo and Magboro, they have alternative route with which they can join. But on that Kara Bridge, you have no alternative route. It is just a straight stream. So I want to just allow us to be patient until we finish this Kara Bridge expansion joint. Once that is done, that does not mean we're still not going to enforce, but at least it will give some leverage to other motorists, because the left and right of Kara Bridge, we have river, but left and right of Magboro and Arepo, there are still some alternative side road that people can explore. And once they clamber over the long bridge, through the Kara Bridge, I think Lagos will be a great thing to navigate.
Okay, is there the plan for the breakdown of some vehicles, which, you know, sometimes is inevitable? What's that plan in place to ensure that vehicles that break down are, you know, quickly taken off the road?
Yes, in our own little way, we have discussed with the contractor. We have some tow trucks, but if it has to do with a heavy machine falling, we'll need a crane. So we're liaising with some stakeholders, and the Lagos and Ogun State are discussing this issue. And they are looking, because it is not a temporary thing we're looking at. We're looking at a permanent solution. If you observe, over a period of time, especially about 2-3 weeks ago, when there was a crash around the Otedola Bridge, that Friday was a catastrophic one for motorists, because it took the whole day. And part of the thing we discussed with between the Lagos and Ogun State government, alongside with Federal Road Safety Corps and other agencies, other stakeholders who are involved, is that tentatively, even if there is a crash or obstruction, we should be able to remove it on time. For the lower tonnage vehicles, we have discussed with, apart from the ones we have discussed with other private tow truck owners. Be that as it may, there are some loads that the capacity of these tow trucks cannot hold, except you see something like crane. So Lagos and Ogun State, and of course ourselves, we are trying to see how best we can fix this. But as far as low tonnage that are not too heavy, we've discussed with private tow truck owners. So that is what we have for now. By later today, I'm planning to move to the Meccano to, put them on standby in case there is anything like that. So some of these things are already in place to ensuring that in case there's a broken down vehicle, we'll have speedy removal of such obstruction.
Wow. Okay, so there are robust plans that you have. We wish you the best of luck for that. I'm also praying that the other sister security agencies are on ground to help with that, and especially police as well, because you will have a lot of people that would, resort to doing the wrong thing, and maybe on the spot arrests will have to be made. We're not sure, but all the best with your work, and thank you again for joining us on the program.
That's a pleasure.
So, what more do we have on Sunrise today?
Yes.
We have security. We'll be talking about intelligence fusion versus reactive response. Which should we be doing more when it comes to securing lives and property in Nigeria? And also we have some others as well. Apart from security, what else do we have? We're tackling poverty in Nigeria and hunger as well. Yes. We'll have talking about that. And for lifestyle, the silent epidemic. Why mental health is more than just psychosis. Yes, we're going to have someone coming in to discuss that with us this morning, and why people should pay special attention to their health and the health of others around them. Very important. And finally, we have Artist of the Week. You get to know that when the time comes. So relax and sit back and enjoy Sunrise. We'll be right back. Yeah. Welcome back. So we start right away, and of course, what other topic to start with, Yomi, than the security situation in
across in the country, especially in the north. It's everywhere really, but is more felt. It's felt more in the north, especially with the senseless attacks that have been taking place recently.
And the one in Kwara,
yes,
a lot of people are still trying to grapple with that kind of massacre of people. Sometimes you can't even just be able to understand the idea or the thinking behind such attacks.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of people have lost their lives. Others are in the hospital trying to come out of whatever it is that they have experienced, getting treatment, and it's such a sad thing.
It's such a sad thing, and
And I think on the same day that it happened in Kwara, it also happened in Katsina.
Yeah.
So how do we? Yes, we've been having this conversation on how we need to tackle these security issues that we're dealing with. This morning is not different because we can't keep quiet. We have to always put it on the front burner because it affects everybody. You may not be in North Central or in Northwest or in other parts of the country where these things are happening, but we have people, we have families, we have friends. We are all connected somehow.
Yeah.
So this morning we continue that conversation.
Yes, and joining us on the program virtually, we have Kabiru Adamu, founder and managing director of Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. He joins us via Zoom. Pleasure having you on the program today. We also have Fataya Wushin. Right, you can respond.
Okay, I'm just very enjoyed mine. Good morning, all.
Right. We also have Fataya Wusheni, Oyo State Special Advisor on Security and Executive Secretary, Security Trust Fund. He joins us via Zoom as well. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Kabir.
Thank you. Good morning, PP Fataya.
Thanks.
Let me start with you, Dr. Kabiru Adamu. What are your immediate thoughts, to the latest security issues that we had? We chat about the Kwara State incident in Kayama local government area. Of course, there were other attacks in other parts of the country happening at that time, but a lot of people say that it's probably the worst of it all that we've had in recent times. The death toll is put at least 75. There may be more. We've not had official confirmation of that, but I know that where the traditional ruler of Kayama and other areas say that it's about 75 people that died. But it's not in isolation. What are your immediate thoughts about the ongoing security situation across the country and the fact that people are dying every day? And it's only after that happens that security personnel are deployed to the place to try and maintain law and order, but people have died. Dr. Adam.
Yeah, my thoughts were not again. Frankly, all the indicators that such an incident was going to occur were there. As far back as September, we personally, I do run a company, Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. We had written extensively to highlight all the indicators that made Kwara State the likely next hotspot for terrorism and other violent criminal activities in North Central and possibly the whole of northern Nigeria. And we had highlighted what we felt was required to be done. And so almost 4 or 5 months down the road to see, the numbers we're getting from the ground, and this is based on the evidence that have been gathered, persons that have been buried, family members that indicate either their loved ones have been killed or abducted. The numbers are about 170, while about 38 have been missing and presumed abducted. I hear the police in particular and other government departments have not released any official figure, but that's what we're hearing from sources on the ground. And frankly, in all ramifications, this is something that is deplorable. It's something that should be condemned, and thankfully it has been condemned by virtually everyone. The challenge, however, is the impunity with which this bad elements are able to carry out such attacks. The incident started around 4:30 in the afternoon and carried on till around 6, 7 in the evening. So about 2 hours of such heinous attack until date. The incident happened on the 3rd of February. Today is the 7th of February. Not a single person has been arrested. Neither in terms of forensic investigation has a pattern been unraveled to say this is how the attack occurred, this is where the individuals are likely to be located. So these are, for me, extremely worrisome circumstances. Every time such occurrences happen, we gather, we talk, we condemn, but then it's just like we're waiting for the next one to happen. And in simple terms, those vulnerabilities that exist within our societies that are being exploited by these violent criminal elements, we have instruments that we have created as a society to address them. At what point are we going to take the implementation of those instruments seriously and hold to account those that we have saddled with the responsibility for ensuring the implementation of those instruments? That's what worries me, frankly. It's befuddling, it's completely unnerving, and it's something that I think as a people, we should say enough is enough.
Mr. Wosheni, let me take from what Dr. Adamo just said now, implementation. Is it a question of implementation or lack of intelligence, or not being able to work on the intelligence that could have been, given at some point about such attacks?
What is key in all these narratives, like when you started your introduction, we kept on talking about this, and it's the same thing that we've been repeating. Somehow, now it is not even about lack of intelligence. It is about what we do with the intelligence. And for all these incidents to be repeating, to be reoccurring, that means that there's something we're not doing right. And where I would pinpoint that is, I have always emphasized, and I believe in what they call institutional memory, and doing an after-action review when things happen. When you do an after-action review, you will know the gaps that you have that is making all these things to reoccur at every time. And it is from that gap you will know that these are the things that we've not put in place. These are the things that we've done right. But unfortunately for us, in some other climate, everybody will talk of the US. What makes that country to be strong is, all the stakeholders will sit down together when things happen, and they will do what is called an AAR. And it is from that each of the stakeholders will know where, to fill in the gap that it's supposed to fill. But it seems as if we don't have that. In those days, we used to have it. I keep on saying it. Nigeria was not like this when it comes to, putting security stakeholders together, when it comes to reviewing our architecture. So along the line, we just lost it because we don't do institutional memory. Things will always happen. It's like Boko Haram. We had the Maitestime. What lessons did we learn from it? Boko Haram has persisted for so long. These things are coming to Kwara, coming to the southwest. Where are the gaps to be filled? And one of those critical things is, the ability to do an after-action review. It is a lesson. It is one of the thematic issues in best practices. Do an after-action review. What do you do? How do we prevent it? Where are the shortcomings? And one of the areas that we have shortcomings is even getting a whole society approach to all these things. Everything that we need to do has to be holistic. If you are solving the problem in Niger, you must simultaneously solve it in Kwara, and simultaneously solve the same problems in all the regions. Because as we are moving, putting fire on those people in some areas, they are moving to other areas. And meanwhile, those fellows, those elements, understand the terrain more than even the security operatives that we're using. We have that belt, which is the national park, that stretches all over. That is the place that they're using more to infiltrate into the community. And if you have the stretch, if it is that the government at the federal level cannot really secure and police that area, why don't you surrender all these things to the state? The Yankari Reserve is part of the national park. It was let out to the Bauchi state government to run. In this area, we have the Kanji belt, we have the Old Oyo Park, we have the one that is that stretches to Oba. So that stretch, you have someone sitting down in Abuja that they call Conservator General or something like that, with just motley number of people, and you want to claim sole right in that belt to say that you can secure it. Hey, excuse me, let the actors in the state take over these things, rejig the whole thing, then you have proliferation of uniform. You go to places where we went to Bumashaw, you see brown uniform, you see blue uniform, no one is coordinating them. So these are gaps that we must go and look at and address properly. What is going to be our internal security outlook? And of course, if Nigeria continues like this, if you don't repair the police, we would probably not, get to the end of all these things. You must repair that entity that you've saddled with the internal lead role in internal security, right, and see how you can put everything together, devolve some of the things to the state, and get the people, what they call a whole society. Because all these elements that are moving, they are not juju, they are not spirit. Some people see them moving. And if you don't buy the trust of the people, we must buy the trust of the people who will tell us that we saw some movement. This is it. Dr. Kabir has said, it's not lack of intelligence again. A lot of intelligence reports are going out there. It is how we use them and how we use this intelligence timely and, resolve it. How do you explain that some people went to a place and killed so much number, and up to now we've not been able to say this is the track they followed, even if they've infiltrated this country from Benin Republic or whatever. The same thing we're having in Benue State there. You must look at the routes they are taking. And of course, the infrastructure, most of those places are ungovernable, for God's sake. There are some areas that even if you call for response, if they are attacking, before response will get there, it will take you like about 5-6 hours. So those are areas that government need to go and look at, because if you are going to assess the location, even if they make a distress call and you are going to move a whole lot of people there to go and rescue them, it will take you 5-6 hours. So we must just take the issue of governance and connecting all the dots together. And I believe that if we are able to do that, we've been repeating it, we would be able to solve this problem.
Right. Mr. Awoshoyeni, I'm glad you've, mentioned all this. And I do know that you also mentioned a place like Old Oyo Park during your comments just now. Oyo State, too, is quite large and has had some experience with these bandit attacks in recent times. And with your position there, I know that you know quite a bit about what is being done to, secure those border areas. But, what has been the experience, especially with the border areas in where you serve, that's in Oyo State, knowing that Oyo State shares border with Kwara, shares border with, all those little areas where these bandits can infiltrate. What has been the experience, and how are you thinking of, solving some of these security problems, decentralizing it, as you put it?
Yeah, it is. What I saw the grant is from the practical experience. What I saw in the grant that made me to say this. Take the Hold Oyo National Park example. We had that incident at where they call in Orire local government in Ogbomoso, Oloka. That's the name of the area, and we went there with the governor to even assess that place. It took like almost 5-6 hours. That is why I say some of those areas are ungovernable. Remember, like you said, we share boundary with Kwara, with Niger State, with Benin Republic, and that park stretches, across all those areas I've mentioned. And in the course of interaction, I also mentioned the issue of who takes responsibility, and that is why you would not fault most of the state governors when they keep on saying they must have the kind of authority and power on issues of security. And it is not just that it is not possible. It is very possible. The Constitution allows that. You can have the Nigeria police as you have it. The Constitution that creates special constabulary, the supernumerary police, it is still there. It is how you use it and implement all these things. Let the state have control of some of these things. It's not just by giving them out control. The Police Act allows for police constabulary and the supernumerary police. You can only upgrade these things by looking at the kind of tools that you give them. It doesn't need all this prolonged whatever that this country has been going through for how many years. That is not bringing any result. We've been talking about amendment of the Constitution. That is not what we need. We have the laws that we've jettisoned, that we're not using. The laws allow certain powers that can be, devolved to the state government. It's just about looking at it. Let the people that will look at these things look at it and know that you can implement them. But we are not following the laws. The Hold Oyo National Park, we go there. And the park people, the National Park Guard, which is a creation of an act that puts them under the Ministry of Environment. You have the Conservator General, reporting to the Minister of Environment, controlling just like about 150 persons to man that kind of a stretch. And they will also tell you that, look, our authority goes to the Conservator General. Our law says that if we arrest someone inside the national park, we can compound offenses and negotiate with them. And we said to them, if the law says you can compound offenses within the national park, that was in those days when poaching and felling of trees are the main offenses. The whole of the stretch has been occupied now by bandits who are carrying guns, by criminals who are doing illegal mining. There is no coordination between them and the Ministry of Mines, the cadastral office. You are issuing licenses to people to go and do mining in those stretch. That is a national park reserve. And some group of people at state land to say that they have sole authority, they don't have any obligation to let the state know. For God's sake, how does this work? So if the Yankari one, that's the only one that has been, given to the state to manage, the Bauchi state. So why don't you now also sit down, instead of a Conservator General sitting down in Abuja and managing just 50, 100 people to secure, that stretch, which they don't even have the capacity. Devolve these things to the state government. Let each of the states manage the National Park Reserve, because that is the main area that these fellows are using. From what has happened and from what I've been saying and what I saw in Benue State, these are cross-border criminals that are infiltrating into the country from Benin, from Cameroon, from Niger, and all whatever. And they're taking advantage of the forest. So we must do something about that and allow some of the government in the state to have the power of control of these things, and of course, for governance to be improved. Because if you have locations where if I say, oh, I'm dying, I have seen people with guns who want to kill me, and the response team cannot get there in 5-6 hours, there is no way you can solve the problem, because you just have like 10 people guarding the place. So we must improve on our infrastructure. We have so many ungovernable spaces in this country, and government must address that.
Okay. Dr. Adamu, Mr. Wosheni mentioned something about responsibility and taking responsibility, and he says that the governors in Nigeria don't have the kind of powers for them to take responsibility. Yes, the Operation Savannah Shield has been launched. What are those things or the specifics that we should hold the security chiefs in Nigeria to, particularly because the president has said, do this? But is it just enough for the president also to say, do this? What is it that should back it up to ensure that action indeed is carried out to wipe out some of these people who are causing havoc in some parts of the country?
So by my understanding of the way the presidency works, when a presidential directive like that is issued, the administrative machinery around the president will pick up that presidential directive and turn them into instruments. So it could be, in this instance, it was a directive to the military. So they would task the military and give them that responsibility. This is what the president has directed. And in this instance, I think we've seen the military already moving. But in modern day, management, as it were, you would need to also commit some form of management practices, including, I always recommend M&E practices. So develop from those instruments key performance indicators. In this instance, my company, as an example, documents occurrences that happen in Para. We're able to know every month, these are the number of incidents in terms of kidnapping, in terms of fatalities. So a key performance indicator would be, how do you bring down, if the kidnapping occurrence is 100 in a month, how do you bring it down to 10? So that we're in February now, by March, we look at the figure and then we say, okay, fatalities have reduced to 50. We're progressing. Abductions have reduced to, let's say, 10. We're progressing. So that type of monitoring and evaluation to allow the presidency to know whether progress is being made, I think is what is required. But having said that, I must say with all sense of responsibility, and my co-discussant, VP Awusheni, has mentioned this, it is not about the role of the military alone. Frankly, the military cannot on its own solve this problem. That national park cannot be dominated by a battalion. We don't yet know the exact number of the battalion deployed. It will be probably between 300 to 1,000 personnel. And we know, given the lack of enough boots on ground in Nigeria, that they're not likely to have up to that 1,000 capacity. So it may be 350 or even less than that, as the case may be. Then secondly, the equipment that they need to dominate that environment and stop these bad elements from moving from point A to point B. That equipment at the moment is not available. So we must see a whole of government approach. The role of the police cannot be overemphasized, and CP Awusheni has mentioned that. But beyond that, how about the borders? The role of the Nigerian Immigration Service and to an extent the customs. How about the role of the intelligence agencies, the DSS, the DIA, the NIA, as well as all the other several paramilitary organizations, civil defense, and others. So it must be that approach. But beyond that, we also have a coordinating body for our counterterrorism strategy, and that is the coordinator who sits at the Office of the National Center for Counterterrorism in the Office of the National Security Advisor, who is supposed to provide the overarching coordination for anything terrorism. So this battalion that has been deployed by the president, I'm hoping that the presidency will feed it into this overarching structure that I've mentioned. Because it's very important that they are fed with intelligence. It's very important that the response capability is also strengthened, given their numbers and the landmass that they have to deal with. plus the border area that I mentioned is not something they can do alone. So all of this should feed into the monitoring and evaluation component that I mentioned, so that after a period, we're able to look back to say, okay, the presidential directive in January 2026 or early February 2026, how far have we gone in the implementation and as well as in achieving the objectives of what the president wants. That's number one. Number two is the role of the National Assembly as the arm of government that should oversight the executive. They are the ones who would release or at least approve for the release of funds to support this operation that the president has just directed. Were they carried along? The operational order, the period for which the operation is going to last, are they aware of it? How much funding does the operation need? So that role too is critical. And then I must also go to the role of the governors. The root causes that allow terrorism to thrive are better handled by the governors. Youth unemployment, poverty, out of school children, name them. All of those things are better handled by the governors. Now, the good thing is they do collect security vote. I know this is a controversial area. They spent that security vote. They are also the chairman of their state security council. Now, how they use that security vote, how they chair the state security council will determine how they are able to manage security within their locations. I know, for instance, based on my interaction with certain states within the federation, some governors are doing extremely well. Others, there is room for improvement. So that whole of government approach that will bring in the federal parastatals, MDAs, and then the governors who would also support what the federal government is doing, I think is what is lacking at the moment. And I'm hoping as we progress, we'll see improvement in that area. The ungoverned spaces that CP Awishini mentioned, till date, as a country, apart from the introduction of forest guards, we haven't really done much in terms of saying this is how we intend to manage and dominate those spaces. The border security management, it still remains a challenge. Weapons proliferation, drug addiction, all of these things are issues that allow these bad guys to continue to operate. And until we address them, there is no military deployment, frankly, that will solve the problem.
Okay. Last year, particularly in December, we saw we heard about the announcement that the U.S., in collaboration with the Nigerian government, had that strike in Sokoto. What would you say? Are you open to having more international collaboration to fight this terrorism that we're dealing with in Nigeria?
So our national security apparatus, the national security architecture, has three components. The ministries, departments, and agencies that I've just discussed, about 42 of them or thereabout. Then the instruments that we have for managing security, the defense policy, the national counterterrorism strategy, and all of that. And then the third one, which fits into your question, is the international partnership that we have to support us to achieve our objectives. And in our own case, those international partnerships are absolutely important because, first off, we don't manufacture weaponry. We depend on our international partners mostly to procure these weapons. And so you can now see why it's important for us to have strong international partnership. Over time, we've not managed those partnerships very well. And I think this administration, the Bola Tinubu administration, came up with what is called strategic autonomy. In other words, any partner that can support us in achieving our interests would go to that partner. And so to that extent, we've reached out to the United States. And I think the relationship is one that is growing at the moment. But this incident that happened in Kwara, for me, is going to be a test case for that relationship. We know that the United States has capabilities for intelligence collection. We know that the United States at the moment has probably one of the most sophisticated capabilities. Now, if a partner is being truthful and is a worthy partner and it has such capabilities, and you have a challenge like the one we have at the moment, I think if the relationship is one that is going to be beneficial to the two sides, this is the time for that partner to show, good faith and support the other partner. If, for instance, just to give you an example, I'm mindful that I'm in a public space, so there's not much I can say to that regard, but our satellite capabilities, at the moment, I think the satellite capabilities is extremely weak. So our ability to have live feeds, our ability to have on-the-ground, intel to allow us see clearly certain developments is extremely weak. But then we got a partner that has capabilities to do not just granular, but live and in-depth feeds that would allow us identify the threat actors, those that are supporting the threat actors, and then more importantly, whatever MO, modus operandi, that the threat actor use. So again, this is going to be a test case of that relationship. If we exploit it, I believe that they can help us share intelligence that would help identify the perpetrators and hopefully go after them. Time would tell. But in simple terms, both from the point of view of the objectives of our national security apparatus, as well as the current foreign policy objective, which is the strategic autonomy, and then the 4 Ds that we have in our foreign policy, partnership with countries around the world is something that would help us.
Right. Mr. Awoseni, if I could come to you. Dr. Adamu said something about state governments, having responsibility, being their chief security officers of their state, and it's their responsibility to protect those who they govern. But what should they be doing? Apart from the using their security votes wisely, what should the state be doing? What should they be discussing in their security meetings? I know that sometimes, for immediate response to some of these things, the states impose curfews to ensure that there's law and order. But are curfews enough? Won't the criminal elements just hibernate and wait for the curfews to be lifted before they find, how to strike again? That's number one. Another thing is that, they usually will not strike in the same place twice, unless it's a reprisal. So once something happens in one part of a state, you deploy security agencies there to maintain law and order, then there's a strike in another part of the state. So how do you ensure that all communities are safe?
One of the things that, that I want to bring out from my own experience when I was in service and doing what I'm doing now, is the fact that we have all the instruments. And what do I mean by instruments? The extant laws that we can use to solve this problem. It's because the only challenge is that we are not leveraging on them by putting up a proper framework, to put, to actualize all these laws, to make them effective. And one of those areas, like I mentioned, is the topical issue of whether we need a state police or whatever. I believe that if most of our leaders sit down together properly and look at the laws, there are part of the laws that they can leverage on in order to make things happen in their places. And I talk of the issue of the special constabulary. I have mentioned in an interview before, as far back as 1985, when we were young officers, we had the special constabularies working effectively that knows the nooks and crannies of the society. The law is still there. The Police Act still gives room for that. We have the supernumerary something covered in our law, which we are not leveraging, which the state must be empowered to use effectively in order to fill the gap. You would use it to solve the problem of unemployment. You bring them in to help with our security. The only thing is that you can now upgrade the type of weapons. Yes, we talk of carrying firearms all the time, There are so many things that can be used. Look at the national park stretch that we're talking of. No matter the number of people you put there, you will still need a kind of technology. And when you put technology, there must be proper coordination. I would take Oyo State now as a case study. I must tell you, the governor has, done a whole lot from whatever vote. One of the challenges we had at the first instance, in 2020, we said in Oyo State, we want to do what we call integrated security concept, architecture. State actors having, a handshake with the non-state actors. But the challenges that we are facing, which we have been trying to resolve, is that you have all shades of security outfits that would still, we are talking of, we want to decentralize, that still have their control at the in Abuja. I've mentioned about the National Park Guard. The National Park Guard is not properly coordinating with the new forest guards that they are creating. You have the vigilante group, the National Vigilante of Nigeria. You have each of the states having their own. Even the non-state actors, you have them in shades. In Oyo State, we've tried to put them together to say, look, if we must solve this problem, we must come together. It is not about competition. And where does the competition comes up? Someone has put up a structure to say that I've created a Peace Corps, I've created a Ranger Corps or whatever. I have registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and it has just like about 200, 300 persons that have subscribed, which is collecting money from. Get to Abuja to see if we can take advantage of the uncoordinated things, to get some people in the National Assembly to give him power. And the first thing is you are seeing him wearing a rank. Everybody wants to be in uniform. When they reach the rank of a Major General or a General or an Inspector General of Police, and all of them, once they wear that uniform, they want to compete with the structures that have been on the ground. It will not work like that if someone is not putting them together. We must have a framework with which to put these people under an umbrella. Someone must grandfather them. It's not because I was a policeman. In most of the countries, your internal security structure must be, warehoused in a place that it can be properly controlled. So where you have a vigilante group of Nigeria carrying a pump action, the people that cannot even define what are the prohibited firearms, which one are the non-prohibited firearms. I meet people, they will say, I have license for pump action. Pump action is not prohibited. They don't have license for it. And people are taking advantage of the weak nature of our enforcement. That is one aspect. We must have a proper framework set up. And that proper framework goes to what Dr. Kabir just mentioned. Even with international interventions, I keep on talking about institutional memory. This is not the first time we are having international, interventions. It has been there. The US, other countries have always been cooperating with us in terms of intelligence gathering. So when people keep on just shouting, oh, America is coming, it is not the first time. They've been doing some covert operations. But the thing is that we are also not, we don't have a proper framework. America will come with one intervention. Germany will come with his own. France will come with his own. No one is sitting down to say, oh, let us have this body that will look at what America is bringing, what France is bringing, what Germany is bringing, what UAE is bringing. How do we pick and choose? Because you find out that all of them do the same thing, but disjointedly. No one is coordinating. I want to be challenged on that because I've seen it at the level of the police where a whole lot of intervention comes. You don't have a basket where you put all the interventions to know, oh, this country has done this. If you don't know what you have, how do you know what you don't have? So that is a problem for me. So we must also address the issue of what level of control you want to give people. A strategic level, who is having the control? Tactical level, who is having the control? Even the non-state actors, the grassroots that we are saying we are going to put in. How do we coordinate these things? If I have seen something, I want to make a distress call, who do I call that I will not be sabotaged? But one key thing which government seems to be forgetting, and which all of us seems to be forgetting, is if you don't solve the problem of poverty, unemployment, good governance, you cannot solve the problem of insecurity, because the non-state actors you want to use, they are hungry. Even if a criminal has come to a community and say, look, all your children, I'll be giving them 100,000, 50,000 naira every month, they will compromise. They will not talk to security. So we must be able to solve the problem of ungovernable places. And the way to solve the problem of ungovernable places is to let governance be visible there. They must see the hands of governance in there. Accessible road, some other amenities, and of course, giving jobs to people. If you don't solve the problem of poverty, all those social menaces, you cannot solve security problem. And I'll go back to the issue of identifying properly who is, we are only mouthing it. Police is the lead agency in internal security operations. It's just been mouthed. Is police actually the lead agency in internal security operations? I would say that from what I've seen, no. And the reason for me saying so is that if you are the lead agency in internal security operations, you are not building their capacity. There is dwindling capacity. The morale is very low. Even with the military, the boots on the ground are not properly motivated, for God's sake. So when the morale is low like that, and if you're saying the police is the lead agency in internal security and is the least funded, it is also the one that everybody has turned to caricature, being bastardized every time. So let's go back to that. We have proposed before. There are so many reform papers, even with white papers, that we've not implemented. If they are the lead agency, fund them very well. Instead of cannibalizing it, decimating it. The police has been decimated. All the structures, all the units that are supposed to be striking forces, the intelligence unit, they have been destroyed. So you must put this together. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's important that you have reiterated this issue of, the way you put it, repair the police entity. Let me take it to Dr. Adamu. How best, we know that late last year, I think around November, the president ordered that the withdrawal of policemen from VIPs across the country. We don't know how far that has, been implemented, but in your opinion, how do you think indeed the police entity can be strengthened? Because when it comes to internal security, they are supposed to be in charge.
And I agree totally. The police should be the lead agency for internal security. And I emphasize the word should. At the moment, the police is not. And for some reasons, our political class seem to be happy to allow the situation to remain as such. We must commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for some of the steps he has taken in order to restore that role of the police. But the steps are baby steps. They're, I think, being objected to, or there is a reluctance in certain components within the political class to allow the police to regain, its lost glory, as the case may be. Police reform is well documented. I can spend the next 1 week speaking about police reform in Nigeria. Several committees have been instituted. They've come up with beautiful reports on police reform. We also have structures at the moment on police reform. I also know that the Ministry of Police Affairs has been tasked. Let me go back to the Renewed Hope agenda. In that document, the president promised to harmonize all the existing police reform documents. Now, one of the challenges, and I say this lightly, the architect of the APC police reform, Governor El Rufai, we all know what has happened to him within the APC, so maybe that's part of the challenge. why we've not seen real progress in terms of what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wanted to do with the police reform. But having said that, the Ministry of Police Affairs has attempted to put together a document that it calls the Roadmap for Police Reform. We also know that there are other structures outside the ministry that are supporting police reform. If we go back to NSAS and what happened after NSAS, the then president, late President Buhari, did set up a committee, and that committee had membership from within the police, from civil society organizations, our international development partners, that came up with a roadmap. So all of that, plus the other several committees that have looked into police reform, have been now put together as a roadmap by the Ministry of Police Affairs. The challenge, however, is the lack of implementation. I would say that what we've experienced over time and that we're still experiencing is a cyclical approach to police reform in Nigeria. Now, until we're serious about police reform and take that document, that roadmap that has been developed by the Ministry of Police Affairs and use it as a template to say, this is where we are and this is how to move to that destination that we want, which is to have a functional and effective police, one that every Nigerian will respect and every Nigerian sees as an organization that is serving his or her purpose. Unfortunately, it will remain cyclical. And I must say, this is in no way excluding or absolving the police of the several self-inflicted challenges that exist within the police. I must tell you as an example, the issue of funding. If the police is going to harness the funds that come into it, I don't think the police is going to be a poor organization. A lot of money is being paid to policemen who serve in banks, who serve in oil companies, and who do other duties. Now, where is that money going to? We had a senator at one point who said that money's reached 10 billion naira every month. So imagine if that money is being harnessed, how much are we going to talk about in a year? And that's of the funding that comes into the police. There are institutional challenges, there are structural challenges that the reform roadmap has looked into. And I'm hoping that as we progress, we would be more serious and stop the cyclical nature with which we're approaching police reform in Nigeria.
As we're running out of time, Mr. Owusheni, if I can have your own closing statements on the subject.
Dr. Kabir had mentioned that a lot of roadmaps that are there. The problem is, making them to work. And they won't work if you don't have the people that have the capacity. The Ministry of Police Affairs as it stands today does not have the capacity to make those roadmaps to work. So if you have the roadmap, you are not putting professionals, people who know about it in it. He has mentioned about fund. We have a police trust fund. The idea behind the police trust fund is not what we are implementing now. Lots of money are going there. What intervention are they doing with the thing? You have a police council that seems not to be working. The Constitution is there as to what police council should do. The Constitution is there about what police service commission is doing. The policy framework that they're supposed to be working on, they're not working on it. We've had a framework that the Inspector General of Police should make his policing plan known to the National Assembly and the Police Council, and it will be benchmarked. We're not doing that. So we must seriously work on the police.
This way gives me more confidence.
Gentlemen, for joining us on the program today. That was quite an interesting conversation about insecurity in the country. We had the Mr. Fatai Owusheni joining us virtually, and we also had Dr. Kabiru Adamu also joining us virtually to talk about the insecurity in the country, especially with the latest spate of attacks, what we've been doing, what we're doing now, what we're not doing right, and what we still need to do. Thank you, gentlemen, again, for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having us, and have a great weekend ahead.
You too.
Thank you. And from tackling insecurity, we'll be going over to talking about tackling poverty.
Stay with us.
Now let's talk about how we can, our economy individually and as a country can improve, because when we talk about poverty, it's not something that is pleasant, and the World Bank estimates that 61% of Nigerians live below the poverty line. And then there's a 2022 survey which found that 133 million people, that is 63% of the population, live in multi-dimensional poverty. How can we live above poverty? Because that's not where we should be as individuals or as a nation. We have in the studio with us a business analyst and development consultant, Mr. Roman Osegali. Thank you so much for joining us. I know when it comes to economic matters, you're always pumped up, about it. And I can see that you already have some things to, demonstrate to us, some of these things. Why are we still where we are when we talk about poverty, and it will seem as if the needle is not moving?
First of all, thank you for having me in the program. This is a topic I've always been very passionate about, and I run the figures from time to time, update them, and they don't look good. And the reason why they don't look good is because we have a track record of doing something wrong. And they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, First of all, let me take us back to 2018, when the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation said that by 2050, Nigeria and the DRC will account for, I think, 40% of the total number of people living in extreme poverty in the world. Now, that's in 2050. Now, that got me thinking, I had to run numbers, and I found out that, well, they were correct. And basically, between that 2018 and 2050, Nigeria was going to have like 5 presidents, right? So why is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation telling us what will happen in 2050? Obviously, they don't know whether we're going to put the best of the brains together to come run the country. They don't know who is going to sit in Aso Rock. They don't know the caliber or the pedigree of those who are going to come sit in Aso Rock. So basically what he was saying was that it's not a person thing. Irrespective of who sits in Aso Rock, poverty will continue to increase, right? And that's because it's a system thing. Systems are run by, they run procedures. You basically know through probably maybe data mining and all that stuff. Now, but he's telling us what will happen in 2050, right? So before that 2050, as I said earlier, we're going to have 5 presidents. But it's not a person thing, it's a system thing. So basically, Nigeria's economic model is not designed to create wealth. It impoverishes the people. So no matter what the president does, if that economic model is not changed.
Now, what model are you referring to?
So we do not run an investment model, right? We run what is called an asset depletion economy, where you deplete your asset to fund your expenditure without appropriate reinjection of enough funds to cover the liabilities of your depletion. Did you get that?
You could break it down further.
Okay. So every year, you deplete your natural resources, right? Now, when you deplete your natural resources, they are part of your total assets. Now, going back in the 80s, let me go back to the 80s so that we'll be able to understand. Now, in the 80s, the World Bank found out that a lot of countries were increasing GDPs, right? And which was a good thing. But the World Bank now said, okay, fine, we need to know where the growth is coming from. And they found out that what was going on was that a lot of these mineral resources were needed in some other parts of the world, and countries were just mining their mineral resources and selling, right? It's just like saying they increase your salaries today, right? Your household expenditure will automatically increase, which is like your GDP. So the World Bank now said, well, we need to go back to the drawing board and really define what the wealth and assets of countries are, and also how to teach the countries and put together a roadmap on how they will manage these assets. So they put the asset in 4 broad categories. Namely, I put them on slides if they want to show the slide. Mainly produced capital, human capital, natural capital, and then your net foreign assets. Your produced capitals are your infrastructure, your manufacturing, your machineries, while your human capital is you and I, innovation. Natural capital, we have the gold, the crude oil, gas, tin, we have the waterways, we have the forestry. Now, under the natural capital, they further subdivided it into reproducible and non-reproducible. The reproducible being like your forestry. You can have deforestation and afforestation. You plant trees. For instance, again, you can have fish. Your waterways and your fishery, they are also assets of the country. You can deplete the fish in a lake now, and government will say, hey, stop fishing because there's too much depletion. The agency in charge will raise fingerlings, introduce them into the lake, give it 3 to 6 months. That asset has been restocked, right? Now, that is for that. Then the non-renewable are the ones the earth produces. You're talking about your gold, your crude oil, your gas, your bitumen, and all that stuff. Now, then your net foreign assets are your sovereign wealth funds, foreign direct investments, your foreign loans, and then your foreign reserve. Now, so what the World Bank did was to highlight this, and then they took the countries one by one and then estimated the total assets of each country. So what the World Bank is saying is that, look, it is not bad that you're selling your crude oil, right? But what are you doing with the funds when you sell your crude oil? You understand? So if you sell your crude oil and you deplete that asset, right, you need to reinvest that amount or substantial of that amount back into something that will cover up for the depletion of what you have done. And that's what we're not doing.
So of all this wealth and assets of country that you listed, the produce, the human, the natural, and the foreign, where are we doing, relatively okay? Okay, so
when I ran the numbers, right, I think the wealth of nations that the World Bank publishes them, I think maybe every 5 years or 4 years, right? Now the last one I ran, right? I read some of the
findings.
Yeah, findings to you. Now, they actually classified them under low income, lower middle income, then high income countries. Now, for the low income countries, the produced assets was 14% of total assets, human capital 41%, natural assets was 47%, and the net foreign assets was -2%. Now, the lower middle income countries, which Nigeria belongs to, produced assets was about 25%, human capital 51%, natural capital 27%, and the net foreign assets was -3%. But when I ran that of Nigeria, our produced capital was about 10.3%, human capital was 55.9%, natural capital was 34.65%, and the net foreign capital was 0.91%, approximately 1%. Now, but you see, these are like your portfolio investments. They change over time. You understand? You could say housing is giving you more returns now. You put more money in housing this year. Next year, you might say, oh, the stock market is booming. You invest more in the stock market. Now, they change over time. They are not static. But the thing is this. If you look at the breakdown, Nigeria, the human capital accounts for what? 55.9%, which makes sense that, look, this is the asset that you should really concentrate on, you understand, and invest in. But Nigeria is not doing that. Let's go to slide 1. I want to explain something, please. Slide 1. Okay, so you have the 4 broad categories of capitals, right? The assets. Now, your net worth is your what? Your assets minus your what? Your liabilities, right? Now, the way the World Bank calculates this thing is based on a formula that has been given. And if you look on the screen, the formula the World Bank gave is what is called the adjusted net savings, ANS for short, right? And what is ANS? It's your net national savings. That is what you already have, plus education expenditure, plus minus energy depletion, minus mineral depletion, minus net forest depletion, minus damages from carbon dioxide emissions, and minus damages from particulate emission. So each year, when you deplete your crude oil, right, you're creating a liability, which ultimately shows back in the what? In the balance sheet of the country. Because the balance sheet is your statement of net worth. And as you deplete your crude oil, what basically happens is that you're depleting your assets. I want to do that demonstration again. This is the best way I normally explain this for people to understand. Now, this is your crude oil, right? Let's just say this is 30, as of today, Nigeria has about 37.5 to 37.8 billion barrels of crude, right? Which, if we go by the way we are mining, should be exhausted in another between 50 to 60 years. That means that you're depleting that asset, right? Now, every day, right now we're doing about 1.6 million barrels per day, right? So, you now mine 1.6 million as of today, right? I am Nigeria. You are the foreign buyer, which I have sold to you, right? Now, the question is this. This is $100 million, right? Which, can you take this?
Yeah, collected.
Okay, now, you are paying me for this crude I'm selling to you, right? So you pay me. Now, you've paid me, right? The question is, have I made money?
It looks like that.
How?
You have.
Explain.
Okay, you have sold, right?
Yeah.
And you got money.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question again. Have I created wealth?
No.
Okay.
You have collected money.
Okay, so why will you say I've not created wealth? Explain to me.
Wow.
Okay, let me help you out, right? The only thing I did, right, is to turn my natural assets to physical cash, current assets, right? So if you go back to the balance sheet, right, the assets will now change. I now have
crude oil,
lesser crude oil. I have the same equivalent in cash.
In cash, all right.
You understand?
Yes.
So,
but what do you do with the cash?
Good. So what I do with this cash determines whether I get what? Richer or poorer. Right. Go back to slide 1. Go back to slide 1. Now, the formula says what? Net adjusted savings, or adjusted net savings equals net national savings plus what? Education expenditure. So in this formula, education is the only one that if you spend on, right, you are not what? You are not losing. That's why they say education is an investment, is not an expense. You get it, right? Good. Every other thing here, except if you're now spending on, we cannot reproduce mineral depletion, we cannot reproduce energy depletion, which is crude oil and gas, we cannot reproduce carbon dioxide and stuff, but we can also reproduce our what? Forestry, right? So if you deplete this and invest in education, right? You are not what?
Okay, so are you saying now that perhaps we are not investing so much in education, and that's linked, of course, to the poverty
it is.
line that we have?
This is a clear form. See, sorry to say this, right? But I feel the black man has a problem. Everywhere or anything the white man has achieved today is through what? Try and error. But they've given you roadmap, and you still can't follow it.
So let's chart this map now.
Okay.
How the 63% of Nigerians who are living in multidimensional poverty can actually, walk gradually out of it.
Okay, I'll say something to you, right? Let's go to slide. See, the formula says your net worth is your asset minus your what? Liability. I'll give you an instance. You and me. Let's just say you live on the island and you live in a service apartment. Your father willed maybe 10 plots of land to you. Each one is worth 200 million, right? And you decided you want to move to the island. You want to shop in the big stores. You want to do two foreign trips every year. You want to change your cars every year. And each year you sell one of those lands to fund that lifestyle, right? But I decided to live in Mowe, right? And I do not shop from the big stores. In fact, I go to buy second-hand clothes. I buy second-hand shoes. I still drive my 504. You understand? But each year, I sell one land and I buy stock. I invest in companies. I invest in bonds. You understand? And they give me returns that is more than that 200 million, right? On the surface, who will they, when people see both of us, who would they say is richer? Obviously, they will say that babe has arrived, that woman has arrived, right? Yeah. But when the bankers look at our books, who will they give loan to? Mm-hmm. It is me, because they know that I have the asset, I'm well managed. Do you understand? That is what the World Bank is doing here. And I want to buttress this point by, let's go to slide 9, Nigeria and Pakistan. Now, this is the world poverty map, right? Pakistan is almost at the same threshold with Nigeria. Population, let's do slide 9, please. Slide 9. The world poverty map. Good. Now, Pakistan is in green near India, next to India, right? Pakistan will meet the sustainability development goals by eradicating poverty by 2030. But Pakistan, when you go to Pakistan, you will see more poverty, right? But let us look at Nigeria. There is in red. We are adding, we are not reducing.
Okay, how do we reduce poverty?
That's what I'm saying. We need to
let's get to that now.
See,
because
Nigeria needs to change its economic model. Your statement of net worth is equal to your asset minus your liability. I want to tell you and I'll show you what Pakistan is doing, right? If you go to the streets of Pakistan, the modest living, they look more impoverished than us, you understand? But we, on paper, we are the ones adding poverty because the economic model is wrong. Pakistan is following what the World Bank has put there. They are following, when they deplete, they invest somewhere else. And I'll show you what Pakistan is doing. Now, go to slide 10, the last slide. You see, we are almost at par with population. Combined GDP, GDP 252 Nigeria, Pakistan 371. Combined GDP from 2020 to 2024. Nigeria has combined a total of $9.1 trillion. Pakistan has only done 5.99 trillion, approximately 6 trillion. Average GDP per capita, 2000 to 2024, Nigeria is almost $2,000. Pakistan is 1,130, right? But look at what Pakistan is doing. Natural resources as rent of GDP. Nigeria has depleted, in 12 years average, Nigeria has depleted 11.2%. Pakistan has only depleted 1.59%.
Okay.
Now, look at adjusted savings, education expenditure as a percentage of GNI. Nigeria only invests 0.8%. Pakistan invests an average of 2.04%.
So we should do more as a country, investment model.
Obviously, if you want to grow wealth, you need to invest. Live below your means. Invest the surplus and watch your compounding interest.
So for every of our finance officials listening this morning, it is, your suggestion, and
it's not my suggestion.
And the suggestion, as we have seen,
it's not my suggestion. That is how
to grow wealth for Nigeria and Nigerians.
Good. Then the second thing is this, right? Pakistan. I want people to Google it. Pakistan plants 1 billion trees. Now the formula says what? Minus net forest depletion, right? I actually sent a video in, but they said they can't play it because they don't know.
We are even having running out of time right now.
So now,
we need to go.
Do you know we deplete our forest to the tune of 400,000 hectares rather, every year. What are we restocking?
So the tree they're planting is every year.
Good. Now Pakistan, I think 2019 or 2020, right? They planted 1 billion trees, right? Now, if you go to...
In 1 year?
No, I think...
Or over the years?
No, in 1 year, right? Now, if you go to tree value calculator, now, that means that they are showing up their natural assets. If you go to tree value calculator, what you will see, if you plant, let's just say you choose a rosewood, right? At nursery state, a rosewood is about $1 or $2, right? In 10 years, 5 to 6 years, when it's fully matured, right? A rosewood will cost you between $2,500 to $3,000 in the market.
So basically, as a country, we need to do more in terms of investment.
Investment in education.
Not just investing in government airplane, cars.
Those are the things, those are the frivolities that are killing us.
But investing in the people.
Yes.
Investing, particularly as you mentioned, education, infrastructure.
And also restocking our forest. Nigeria is one of the top countries with the highest deforestation rate in the world.
While we are talking to government, is this something also quickly, because we need to go now, that individuals can also borrow from, no matter how small your income is, to find a way of investing?
See, Nigerians...
We need to go.
Okay, Nigerians need to... There's something that we need to do, right? We are a race that live beyond our means. It is not a contestable word. You understand? People need to cut down on their lifestyle. You understand? Invest more. Even if you earn 100,000 or 200,000 a year.
No matter how small the investment is,
even if it's
just make it
5,000 every month, be putting into some kind of investment, and you what the compounding interest.
Yes.
This is what we need to teach the younger generations on what to do.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, business analyst and development consultant, Mr. Roman Osegale. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll just take another break. Sunrise will be back in just a moment.
Welcome back. So we're now at that point where everything that we've been talking about are interrelated, Yomi. We started with insecurity, we're talking about poverty, now we're talking about curbing hunger. Everything, one thing...
Poverty is linked to hunger, because if you don't have money to feed, is just going to be another challenge. So.
Yes, and insecurity is related to poverty, and insecurity sometimes they say it's because of poverty. So everything is interrelated, so we can't talk about one without talking about the other. And in our Abuja studios this morning, we have Pauline Okpara, who is the head of Department Food and Security and Livelihood Action Against Hunger in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Pauline.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Great to have you on the show. How are you today?
How are you doing yourself?
I'm good, thank you. So your organization released a report for this year, 2026, and which, let me quote it, says that it places Nigeria at the top of the 10 global hotspots ahead of other conflict-heavy nations like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. For hunger-related issues. What factors are responsible for this?
Thank you so much for that question. But just to clear about ACF releasing this report is not released by Action Against Hunger, ACF Nigeria, but it is jointly and collaboratively produced, or it is being analyzed by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria, and in collaboration with other development partners, which Action Against Hunger also contributes to the data that are used for this analysis. So this report is quite true to place Nigeria at the topmost place for countries who are facing acute food and nutrition insecurity. Nigeria accounts for the very largest number of acutely food insecure people across the globe. This is also the biggest humanitarian crisis around the world, and as compared to Congo, Sudan, DRC, the Ukraine, and even Gaza, who are also facing crisis humanitarian. So according to the CADA harmonization, co-analyzed by the Federal Ministry, it's facilitated rather by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and with the support of development partners, including the UN in Nigeria. As at October 2025, the CADA harmonization analysis stated that currently we have over 27 million Nigerians, 27 million people who have food nutrition insecure in the country, and you can imagine the number 27 million out of over 200 million. Those numbers are really scary. And in 2026, during the lean season in June and July, this same analysis also projects that about 34 million Nigerians would be in the same situation. Here you talk about poverty and linking as a contributing factor for food insecurity. But just to mention that also poverty is linked to nutrition insecurity. We have about 5 points based on the analysis for the IPC integrated phase classification for the entire country. That is statistics for 30 states that has been analyzed. We have over 5.4 million children under 5 who are acutely or severely malnourished, and you can imagine having such number out of the population of Nigeria. Children, we are talking about children dying of hunger, dying of malnutrition, and this number is also said to be increasing. And by this year, 2026, June, July, that's the lean season, which we all know that's the peak of hunger and malnutrition, we would have the number increased to up over 6.5 million children. So you can imagine how poverty has exacerbated food and nutrition insecurity in the country. So you see, talking about women also, we have 800,000 women who are breastfeeding, pregnant and breastfeeding mothers who also are currently reported to be malnourished. So, you can imagine all of this number contributing to why Nigeria is ranked as, in the top place for countries who are facing food and nutrition insecurity. So we know some of the contributing factors are also conflicts. We have mentioned, and over the period of time of this a TV show, the last presenter and the one before were mentioning how insecurity has influenced poverty in the country. And I stand, in the same place to mention that the conflict has affected over 3.5 million people being displaced currently in Nigeria due to conflict, armed conflict, banditry, kidnapping, abduction, and so on. So we can already imagine how much the conflict has influenced this food and nutrition insecurity in the country. Economic hardship, let me talk about that. The population continue to experience like grappling economic hardship. We talk about the fuel subsidy removal and the inflation situation in the country, and the rising increase prices of food, staple food, and also other services. Basic infrastructures also are not being accessed by poor and vulnerable individuals. So these factors, including also climate change and natural disaster, we saw that in last year, according to the NEMA report, about 433,000 people were affected by flooding, and among those number, 145,000 persons were displaced, and then this flood affected about 241,000 persons. So if you count, if you check all of these key contributing factors, you could see why Nigeria is suffering greatly. And just to mention lastly, before I pass the mic to you, the funding cuts also. I mean, Nigeria is one of the highest recipients of humanitarian funding. And we can imagine how the funding cut has also limited the ability of other international actors to support the Nigerian government, who are doing a lot to also bring this situation into a good place, and then find how people can be able to meet their needs. So these are the factors that are really affecting the country at large. And then I'm hoping that if the government are going to, work to address these factors.
We're going to come to addressing these factors, Pauline. You've mentioned quite a lot. Talk about some of those statistics that are not pleasant in any way. If we have people, Nigeria topping the list of countries in terms of hunger, it is nothing to cheer about. And you've mentioned the climate issues, insecurity, economic hardship, natural disasters. Now, in talking about how we are addressing this, would you say that with the vast arable land that Nigeria has, have we been able to cover some of them, aside from the fact that, okay, yes, insecurity is not allowing people to go to farms, but let's talk about even the availability of all of the farm implement to cultivate this arable land that we have in Nigeria?
Yeah, I thank you so much for that question. But I can stand to say that we haven't been able to cover the vast land that Nigeria has. And thank you for mentioning one of the biggest challenge is the insecurity, forcing the rural farmers, the farming communities, who we know are those large-scale producers, and these are where all of the large-scale production of staple food that feeds the country is happening. And these people cannot be able to farm due to food insecurity. So you can imagine that even the lands that were previously cultivated can no longer be cultivated. Now, communities can only cultivate within a certain perimeter away from the communities. Due to fear of insecurity, they can't go very distant to farm. So what does that mean? That means that they are not able to practice like full agroecology, like land rotation. We know that sometimes these rural farmers do not have access to farm inputs, which I will talk about because you mentioned about infrastructure. So that leaves them with just a very small piece of land to cultivate, and then without the right training as to how to also maintain soil fertility for them to continuously produce, it becomes very difficult for them to farm and then get very high yield that can also feed the country like we used to have, abundance of food. And this also leads to the call for action to, train these farmers on how to also cultivate a very small piece of land and then have high yield. This can be done through, using of compost to regenerate the soil, fertility, and then also trying to practice mixed cropping and so on. And let's talk about urbanization. Urbanization also had greatly increased, the situation around farming land. Nigerian population continued to increase. And I know the 200 million was a very past census, and then I know our population has increased more than that by now. Hopefully with the next census we'll be able to know, basically the number of persons that are in Nigeria. But, our population increasing does not allow us to also have arable lands around to be able to farm.
Okay.
Farm infrastructures also has really great
we need
impact
to take care of that too.
Rural farming.
Okay, now we've talked about insecurity as part of some of the factors that's causing this drive towards hunger. Let's talk about the weather patterns too. In places where they're able to farm, but we have erratic weather patterns. How do we make this shift in our agricultural processes to be able to accommodate and prepare for such?
Yeah, I would like to thank the NEMA and SEMA at the state level for always, providing timely data. I believe that the government in itself is doing a lot in order to educate farmers and provide early warning systems that would be able to provide information to farmers to be able to understand the weather, the change in weather patterns, the climate change. And then I just believe that it is not enough to have all of that information out there. Sometimes the dissemination is really also slow and not sufficient because it doesn't really trickle down to the rural community for them to be able to have all of that information and adjust their farming season and adjust their farming farming practices. So to mention, climate change has really affected. I mentioned the issue of flooding, but this does not only affect flooding, or this is it is not just flooding that climate change had already brought. We had we have also soil degradation, and also we have pests. A lot of pests emerging because also we have shortages of rainfall. So we have erratic rainfall pattern like you have mentioned, and this has greatly reduced crop yield. Farmers are unable to farm. Some of the farming periods, the farming season starts late, and then the absence of, improved seed varieties, the absence of, basically, I would say the capacity, which includes the training of the farmers to be able to understand this pattern. It also includes the absence of basic seed variety like good seedlings, drought-resistant seed variety, pest-resistant seed variety.
So in all of this, what would you say we should be doing quickly to address the situation? We're winding down now.
Yes. So I believe that first, if we tackle the issue of insecurities, farmers will be able to access large expanse of land to be able to cultivate and have enough to feed their household and including supply in the market. So as it relates to climate change, also they will be able to practice, crop rotation, shifting farming, for them to be able to shift to other lands which are more fertile for their production. I believe that the governments also have the key responsibility of disseminating all of the information as relates to climate change and then weather patterns. So like I mentioned, it is not enough for us to have those information. It will be good for us to derive like a framework or like a strategy to get all of this information to the rural farmers. It is good for us to also support these farmers with the basic infrastructures, like the tractors, and then also train these farmers on the best practices and how they can use just, locally available materials to be able to boost their agriculture.
Okay, nice talking points. We do appreciate your work and everything that you're doing, of course, in collaboration with development partners and the federal government and everybody else that you're working with to get these data out. We do hope that the data will help us translate it into meaningful development points and what we need to do to actually eradicate hunger in the land. Pauline Opara, HOD, Food and Security and Livelihood Action Against Hunger in Nigeria. She joined us from our Abuja studio. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. Do have a pleasant day.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll be back. We'll be talking about
mental health.
Just in all of this, health is also very, very important. So, to stay with us. Say, everybody, Jekajo, let's dance.
Let's dance.
Whether you like it or not, life continues. Whatever life throws at you.
Yes.
If it's a lemon, you make lemonade. If it's akam, you make if it's corn, you make a pap. So whatever life throws at you. But we'll be talking right now about mental health. We have security issues. We have poverty issues. But even within all of this, there is that space for you to stay afloat. There's that space for you to ensure that you are not lost in all of the challenges. So how do we maintain our mental health?
Yes,
we have in the studio with us a family systems engineer, Deji Showumi. Thank you for your time.
Morning.
And I dare to say he's a mental health advocate.
Well,
let me add that for you.
I went into my own issues with mental health just on my way. Some person just stopped because somebody tried to overtake them and got down and tried to drag the kids with that person, and I was there waiting for them to finish with their engagement. And So
sometimes some of these things that we see on the road may be a result of some bottled up emotions. You're having to deal with this, deal with that, and you don't know where else the escape route. And the next person who is just may just be the one to. But how do we balance out all of this?
Okay, so as I watched those two, and I knew I was running against time to get to the studio on time to be here, I almost got into my own issues because I was like,
5 minutes.
I want to get somewhere. Why are you people doing this? Then, I now remembered, for the person that got down, they've been pushed.
Yeah.
They are running on fumes. They are almost empty. And for the person that was trying to struggle, that he doesn't take his key, is in shock. I'm sure he has his own share of Lagosness, because this is a cocktail of pressures that is this state. So I looked at them, and on the way here, I was like, it's weird how this ties into it. If it was probably some few years back, I probably would have gotten into it myself, shouted from my car, or got down to go and meet them, but that would not have solved anything. If I wanted to help,
instead it could compound things.
It could compound it. Yeah. If I wanted to do anything that would be helpful, I need to put myself in their place quickly to say, why are they doing that? Then I can go there and help them co-regulate. The only reason why I'll be getting out of my car will be to calm them down, let them say that, oh, if you don't go, he can't go. Both of you were going to places before, and you need to get there. So, in a sense, I got down there and co-regulated both of them so that we can all get where we're going. Now, the issue I see with mental health and how we try to distance ourselves is just in simple definitions. When we think mental health, Nigeria still is a very, very special place. It's a very special child. It is a child that has the latest iPhone, but the software in it still belongs in 1920. We power most of our beliefs and most of our daily lives through cultural outlooks and environmental beliefs that I feel is not helping us out. And that's where we are today with mental health. When we hear mental health, what we just think is what in psychology would be psychosis. Psychosis is the breakdown. This is when you are out of reality, your thinking is disorganized, you don't know where to go. But that in fact is a breakdown. Now, mental health is like you are going on third mainland, then you see a car that is smoking, the owner is frantic, running around, trying to pour water, trying to calm it down. That time, the car is done. The engine is done, it has probably knocked. Or it's coming out fumes, so maybe the gasket has burnt, no water in the car. So maybe the oil is dry and the water is dry. Now, let's take that same analogy and bring it to mental health. Mental health is just the oil and the water. So it is about how are you coping with your daily life, productivity at work, and still being able to contribute to your neighborhood. That's what mental health is. It's a layer upon layer of things. Now, your mental health is just the oil and the water. When it is short, that is where the problem is of a breakdown. But before it gets short, what are you doing to maintain it? That is what I would love us to talk about so people can understand it, that it takes time to get to psychosis. It creeps in on us. Like I said, I almost got involved this morning because I was in a hurry and I was going to be impatient. But it's something that we all have to be very, very, very mindful about because it exposes itself in us every single day. And we are thinking that those who they are labeling mad, those who are naked, running mad under some bridge, are the ones that are mad. No. That is psychosis. They broke down because nobody helped them and they couldn't find help for themselves to get out of that funk of being impatient, being at your wit's end, being hypervigilant. Hypervigilant is you are at the end of things, so your brain is telling yourself to look for threats all around. You're not sleeping. Someone touches you, it's like, why? You want to fight. People will say, I'm from Ogun State, I'm from Ekiti State. So when my mother would lose a cool, every once in a while would say that, what Losondo or what Losekiti? We say it like that, your parent has gone back, in all those negative stereotypes that we do. No, that was just a person calling for help. And if they don't see it, it's our duty to be able to help them see it.
That is if the person seeing it also recognizes it.
Yeah, that's it.
So how do we recognize it?
How do we recognize
someone may be having a mental breakdown?
There is nothing humanity can do than to read. There is nothing else. It is a key part of our development. You have to find knowledge. Yeah, people are going to talk, therapy is expensive. There is so much free resource. You have to question yourself from time to time. Why did I do that? Why did I react this way? We have to investigate whatever we are doing, what beliefs we have, and believe that there can be more, there can be better. Yes, the government, the NGOs, the practitioners, psychologists, they are doing so much to make sure that the world is aware, but they will not touch on everywhere. So it's like our duty to keep on passing it on to the next person, But let's set that to the side. If we can just love our neighbor and give them rest, they will find rest. Now, somebody comes, shouts, screams. You ask them something little, they react to us excessively. What we do, at times, if we are in a position of power towards that person, is to slam them. Hey, stop there. Well, would you think you're talking to me like that and stuff? Then we shut them down.
Yeah.
What we should do in that scenario is to know that that is not their normal self.
Yeah.
That means that we are observing that there's something wrong. So what do? We ask a question. What happened? How are you? Are you sure everything is fine? Instead of, is the baby stressing you? I hope everything is okay. While you are walking away, you pause with that nursing mother. can I take your baby for about 30 minutes so that you can have your bath? That might be the difference between that nothing mother probably throwing a baby on the floor. If she launches into psychosis, maybe a lot of things have piled up. I've had a woman drive in front of me from the wrong end at a roundabout, and she did roll down her glass to say, yes, you men are always doing all these things. I was like, okay. Our husband has done something. And I had to stop to let her pass, because at that point in time, while it looks unrealistic to me and it looks like she's lost it, she needed to have that, to have peace temporarily.
It may not even be the husband. It may be from work. It may be from
anything.
Family
because
issues.
She didn't say my husband, she said you men. All right? It takes me back to this joke when my wife was like, it's men. Why is there men before menopause? Why is there men before mental issues? It's so many things. But if we can genuinely just care about the next person, you will be contributing so much to their mental health, even without knowing it. But we have a culture that says one thing and we do another. And for us that say we love, do we really love? It's those things are key. You'll find that it is funny how kindness is linked to so many things. Most of all, mental health.
Yeah. And you know, so sometimes I also think, as the analogy, well, the real picture you painted of that woman, is a true life story?
It's a true life story.
Right, so in the home too, how can parents, we as parents, manage all these mental health issues too? Because I take it from, there was a time when they talked about an attack, supposedly bandly attack somewhere near in Ogun. We've heard of the Kwara, we've heard of some far-flung Oyo, the old Oyo Park, close to Kwara, Niger State. And then parents began to worry. They took up the schools to say, oh, you have to secure the schools, they're getting closer and all that. So schools started taking action. We talked about hunger and poverty. We've talked about how the economic situation, how the new tax regime, how people you cannot really, that you can't afford food anymore in that sense. And then the parents are strung up. You have to think of how to provide, how to do all these things, and you're having your quiet meltdown, and then you take it out on the children who don't know anything. They do something, you shout successively, you overreact to things that children do, and all that. So how can we, you know, as parents, learn to take it in and then, you know, be able to imbibe it and just be rational about what we're doing without hurting the people around us. Let me put it that way.
I know the case of the economy, the case of safety. I know the government is trying their best. But in a land that is decimated by poverty, in all truth, that is to be expected. Now, it now depends on how perceptive you are and how intentional you are that you can process all these things that happen, because societies might be different in terms of how maybe it's a first world country, it's a second world or a third world country. But at the end of the day, there is no environment that does not have its own issues. Yeah. So it's like you have to come to terms with it. That's the first part of it. The second part of it will now be yourself. You have to build yourself. You have to address yourself. That's why I said there's no way you can do it without educating yourself. There is always more. There's so much you can do. There's so much you are not doing. And there's so much that we don't even know that we are not doing to help ourselves in growth. Because really, to be a parent, modeling is the most important thing. Your children are going to do what you do, not what you say. So it's very, very important that we have improved ourselves so much, and we keep on improving ourselves to be able to help the children. Now, for the parent, yes, therapy is a thing, but therapy is not probably affordable for some people in some places. So we have to look at what we can do within our own power. Sleep is vital. People underestimate sleep. It's very vital. That is the time the system shuts down and tries to recover, to go again. Now, we look at it that What's this guy saying? People have to wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. to be able to get to work by 6 a.m. And we'll get home in the traffic by 11 p.m. and prepare for work tomorrow and be sleeping by 12 a.m., so to speak. That's 3 hours of shutdown. It's not enough. The person will die. I'm not a messenger of doom. That person is going to die soon. Exhaustion and so many things. So we now have to look at it. We have to make choices. We have to reinvent ourselves. Do I have to find work in the area where I stay? Do I have to build a business? Do I have to? It's so many things that we will have to think of. But sleep is key, and we have to get sleep. Now, after sleep, we have short-term first aid, or let's just call it first aid, to very serious situations, especially to anger or aggression. It sounds simple and funny to tell someone to breathe in 4 times, hold it deep, then hold it for 4 times, 4 counts, then release it step by step again, another 4 count, which is about 12 seconds. That does a lot for the brain because it tells the brain that we are safe. What you are doing is...
There's power in that you just mentioned. You could try it, particularly if you are in a tense situation.
A very tense situation.
If, you know, the situation is something that is overwhelming for you. Yes. That breathing in.
Drag it in deep. What you are doing in that time is you are feeding the brain. You are giving it oxygen at that time. And whenever there's time, most of the time what we do is we react. We've been suffering a lot of stress. So what we are is an open wound, and an open wound that has not been treated in any way. Any touch is decimating pain. So what we can do at that time is to breathe in, hold it 4 seconds, then you hold it in another 4 seconds, then you take it out 4 seconds. Do it as many times as possible to calm you down. Some people even go into a state of sleep because that's what we're trying to invoke for the brain to rest. It is very, very, very important that we're able to do that. Then support is key. Coming back to kindness and communal relationships. You don't have to go and complain because everybody is dealing with something. But you can at least find a listening ear. Talk about your problem. A problem I've listened to, is half solved. People always wonder that. How does that thing work? The time you are talking, that is therapy. Cortisol is the hormone out. Cortisol is the hormone of stress. It lessens the cortisol in your system by letting it out. There has to be a way to release that pressure. Because if the pressure continues to build and build and build, it's to get to psychosis. So these are a few things that we can do to make sure that, we don't allow the engine to knock or the flames to come out before we attend to it. But yes, finding knowledge are the ways that we can recognize the symptoms before somebody suffers a breakdown, or if we are even lucky enough to notice it in ourselves. Because at times, I know we do it. I can't count how many times I've apologized to my children. They come and ask me something, but I just go back from the office and I've not settled down. I'm like, please, I just came in. But later, I have to go and meet them and apologize to them because I can't transfer the aggression.
And that takes me to children too. I was watching a video online, and a mental health doctor was speaking to that part of it, that he sees children. He's a pediatric a mental health doctor, and he sees children who come in because they have a mental breakdown, and some of the things they tell him is, my mom expects too much from me. She wants me to have good grades, and she's piling up pressure on me. Let's talk about mental health in children. Too, yes.
Okay. I think during the week, and that has been a few times, my daughter is in GS3 preparing for Becker. So the school, to make it easier for them to do well, they included a extra tutoring time between 6:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. before they get ready for the assembly, or 7:15. Then after that, they give them a break 1 hour after 3 p.m. Then they do 4 to 6. So in retrospect, I've put my child in a situation from
6:30.
No, she has to wake up first. So
yeah.
She's awake by around 5:36.
Yeah.
I put her in that situation to focus on just one thing, even if it's an education, from around 6 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m. 12 hours in a day. She's supposed to rest for, because she's 13, 14, supposed to rest for between 8 and 10 hours to be able to recharge. You know, as the older you get, the shorter your sleeping hours should be. Now, if you take out the 8 to 10 hours from the remaining 12 hours, that's just 2 hours that she has left to do anything with. And those 2 hours are going to be between the time she gets home and the time she goes to bed. So that means that she has to probably iron her clothes, prepare for tomorrow, do her chores and all.
And there's still homework in between.
There's homework in between. What I have created for my child, though is a system of the world today, is to put her in a cauldron and continue to add firewood, because she does that 5 times a week till she does the baker and it's over. So I went back into my own time. There was no baker. I grew up in Abeokuta. That means that to get to school at 7:10, I could wake up at 6:30. You could do it. You take a breakfast to school, the school provides a lunch, and that's it. By 2 o'clock, we're done, we're back home. I didn't do any extra lessons in my life until my SS2, third term, to prepare for WAEC in itself. We did variably less. The children are stressed.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world. They are stressed. As technology and life has gotten better, our children are getting more stressed.
And then some of them, we hand them, you know, phones even when they are very young, and then they go on that phone
and get addicted to it.
Yes, for another period.
Yeah, their prefrontal cortex is not grown enough. They don't know how to delay gratification. They don't know how to stay disciplined. It's just attractive to them. Now,
how do we help them?
How do we help them? What you need to do, what you need to know is that you have spent decades, 3, 4, 5, on this earth and can manage things better. Some of us even don't have a handle on how to manage things at all. We talk of a child who is still trying to find their way around earth, around so many things they don't understand. We have to help them distress from early. First of all, by modeling that, by creating balance in our own lives so that we can transfer it to them and creating a structure for them. If we see that the structure we've created, that's one thing about creating structure, a plan or a table. You will see what is excessive and you will know what to remove. I've been thinking so much with my wife that will she really fail if she's not doing this or that much? Because I don't want a child that has absorbed so much stress early in her life growing into a worn-out adult. That is the thing. So we have to control that. We first have to find balance in our own lives to help them find balance in their own lives. We have to sit down in the PTAs and discuss with the children. The schools will probably say, they're not the only one. Yeah. But that is not a defense. We want to build properly. I still saw on some video on social media, I think it's the Japanese, the school furniture now have a relaxing button whereby they can take snooze 3 times within 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. That they should catch 20 minutes of rest because it's important for productivity. So we have to really help our children in that particular sense because it feels like we're killing them. The stress levels of people by the time they are age is going to be terrible because we keep on doing so much. The fear of missing out. I think this week it was snakes. People are bothered about and stuff. Don't worry about it. If you don't catch that breaking news today, nothing will happen to you if you catch it tomorrow. Shut down. Sleep. If the emails are that important, they will come in highly prioritized. But WhatsApp messages, they can't be that important. Let it be. You are important. Rest. Talk to people. Connect. Be well. And the whole nation, the whole globe is well. So I want people, first of all, to remove the stigma of psychosis from mental health. Mental health,
because stigma is also part of the issue.
It's part of the issue.
Someone may be going through some mental health issues, but they don't want to share because, oh, what would he think? What would she think?
That person
so we need to take our stigma too.
That person's got distressing news, is in the middle of a meltdown, then you bring up your phone and you start to record. That person is naked and in pain at that time. What you need to do is to put clothes around them, hug them and calm them down and help them manage that situation. Not to put them on social media to be ridiculed. Those things don't go away for a long time. We need to learn that as our own personal responsibility as social media citizens to please think about other people, to think about what our criticisms, this trolling, banter culture is doing to people. Because when somebody comes to social media and posts anything about themselves, they are trying to connect. They are saying, this is me. What do you think? Support me.
And then you have
and
all
then you
sorts
just
of
go
comments.
and decimate those people.
Yeah.
They are not coming back out. And that is the conundrum that is mental health. Because they know you're going to ridicule them and stigmatize them, they now hide. Hiding means not receiving support or treatment till it now becomes psychosis.
Wow.
It's a catch-22.
It's something that we all need to.
We all need to
be
intentionally
conscious about.
Very conscious.
Be conscious about our mental
it.
health because without that, I don't know what other health is going to matter at that point. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your time with us, Family Systems Engineer Deji Showumi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you indeed for your time. And we are on the home stretch.
Yeah.
We'll be back with our Taste of the Week.
Oh, my Father.
Oh, my Father, indeed.
That relaxed me a bit.
Helps your mental wellness. Oh, my God. And so welcome back. We're on the home stretch. As Yomi said before we went on the break, of course, we have our Artist of the Week who you are going to meet shortly.
They met him just a couple of minutes ago.
Well, officially announcing him.
Yes.
That is Ademola Makinde, a singer-songwriter, and all the works. Welcome to Sunrise.
Let me start by asking, are you related to Governor Makinde?
I wanted to ask.
No.
You wish I was.
Or our own Ayo Makinde? No. Oh, okay.
Okay. That's great. So, how has it been?
Amazing.
Right.
God has been good.
God has been good. It's good. So, I mean, let me take you from, I see that you studied chemistry.
Yes,
at the great University of Ibadan, by the way. And I just had to rub that in. Some people are jealous of us.
It's okay.
Right, and you studied chemistry. And I must say, even while I was in school, the almighty chemistry, everybody was scared of even going through that department. Even people that just had to study it just for 1 year and then crossed over to their own continue. But how did you cross from chemistry to, singing?
Music chemistry.
Obviously, thank
music
you.
Chemistry.
Music chemistry. What's your inspiration for music ministry?
Yes, well, I always liked chemistry when I was in secondary school.
Right.
I think maybe the only person in the whole class that loved chemistry.
Wow.
That's why I picked
the whole class of 300, I bet you.
It's a private school, so less than 100.
Yeah.
Yes, really liked chemistry. But music is a God-given talent.
Yeah.
I always ran away from it, partially because of my parents.
All right.
Why?
They encouraged me to study my books, and then when I was singing, maybe picked up the guitar, they'll be like, please go and face your books.
Oh, wow.
So I guess that put a fear in me that, are you sure you want to do music? So it took me a while before I accepted that I should pursue this. Right.
And what do they think now?
Oh, God has been good. They see the evidence, so they support me now. But in hindsight, I think they also feel like maybe they should have supported me earlier, right? But yeah.
And then now that chemistry is in the lab and you are in the music lab now, how long have you been, cooking this music that you've been on?
This is 2026, so since 2019, actively, yes. I've been doing music.
And how has that been for you? The songs that you've put out, what's the acceptability? Are you encouraged by what your experience?
Yes, I'm encouraged by the testimonies I get from people all over the world. I get DMs on my IG from people maybe in the UK that just tell me about what they're going through and how these songs I wrote have helped them through those really difficult seasons. And it's so encouraging for me because I know how it took me a while before I said I should pursue music itself. And I know how these songs that I write have really encouraged me myself. And that's the reason why I thought, oh, these songs really encourage me. I think other people will relate to it. That's why I put them out. So it just really warms my heart to see that these songs are doing what they should do, to people's lives.
So why did you follow gospel and not, what's made that difference? You going gospel, is it about your faith or, that conviction also coming from within you?
Yes. So the conviction I got to do music was backed by some sort of spiritual and religious drive, right? That was the reason why I wanted to do music. The first song I wrote was a Christian.
Right from the start?
Yeah, right from the start.
Okay, because some people
it was like a
start
no-brainer,
from
really.
secular music and then...
I never really started from secular music. So, I just followed that path and I love the path that I'm on. I don't intend to maybe tomorrow branch out. I think it's a calling. I think it is what I was born to do. It drives me every day. I always think about the next song, how it's going to bless the next set of people. I have a producer who always says that I should take every performance like the last. So, I put in so much energy, so much preparation into every performance because I know that I'm stewarding something special, something for people. So it's really, really important to me.
Okay, and you're also, a writer. You just don't sing, you're also a songwriter.
Yes.
So what gives you inspiration? Some people say, they pray and they hear directly from God. God just drops the words into their heart and they start scribbling and all that. Some people, it's influences from outside what they see around them. Some people do, what do you call it now, apart from gospel, inspirational, inspirational music. It's not purely gospel, it's just people to tell you they're blessed by your songs. So what do you draw from when you want to write your songs?
The Bible, and a little bit of both, or everything. The Bible, primarily, what I'm going through also, and then what I see around me. For instance, my song, All My Eggs, it was in the heat of COVID and the NSAS. I just woke up and I just woke up with a little bit of despair. October 1st, 2020, I remember very well. I just woke up and I was just confused. I felt like, I was going through some cloudy moments and I picked my guitar and I said, I will call upon the Lord, He is my refuge and my strength. Psalm 16, and the words kept flowing, all my eggs in your very hands, you're my trust, you're my deliverer, and I'm going to trust you with whatever it is I'm going through. So that came from the scriptures, inspired that, also came from what I was going through. I chose not to tell myself to wallow in despair, but rather, throw it all to the Lord. So yes.
That's great.
How do you describe Nigeria's gospel music industry?
I think it's in a very, very important season. I mean, Gaze Baba, his song topped the YouTube list, right? Above secular music. I don't think secular musicians expected that, right? Because I understand that I'm not going to speak too much about secular music, but they put a lot of effort into ensuring that they are at the top of these trends. And gospel music doesn't exactly put in that much effort, so you could see that it was totally organic, and it's telling us something that the youths, people really love gospel music, and that is really encouraging. That's really encouraging because we've come a long way in Nigeria.
Okay, and gospel music can be upbeat. You find the Gaze Baba song you mentioned, I have decided, and then, but I see that yours seem to be on a mellow, How did you choose that? Or is this particular song, particularly the one we listened to before we came on, is that just one of it? You can also do upbeat music, and I will.
Oh yes, I can do upbeat music. I can do a bit, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm largely influenced by Hillsong music.
Right.
Hillsong, Bethel music. Those are the people that really formed how I even write my songs. I listen to them a lot. I can tell you individuals in Hillsong music. That's how much I follow them, right? So that influences my style of music. However, I also, write upbeat music. But largely, you're going to, if you want to look at my discography, you're going to expect soul penetrative music. You understand? So.
Okay. So we see this video showing now. Is that you I'm seeing in the corner?
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Tell us about that experience with T.Y. Bello.
Yes. He was amazing. He was amazing. I got a call from a PA. She had heard me sing at a mutual friend's event, and she heard me sing All My Eggs, and she loved it. And a few days after, I got a call from her. She would love me to worship with her at a place, and I was like, T.Y. Bello. And I was there, and we made, we had like a spontaneous worship session. And
okay, let us quickly listen to this. Let's listen. There is nothing between you and me. There's nothing high between you and me. I cast my idols down. I burn them to the ground. I worship only you. That's a worship song.
Yeah. Was that spontaneous or
was it spontaneous?
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Spontaneous.
Okay, you were talking about that experience. Let's land on that.
It was amazing. It was amazing. We just had the musicians play in the background, and we just singing to the Lord, and these songs came. She started singing, I cast my idols down, I lay them to the ground. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is the song, and we just kept singing it together. The atmosphere was amazing, and aside from that, she's such a cool person, like cool individual, cool. So cool.
T.Y. Bello, the same one that I know.
So it was such an honor doing that with her. I believe that's like a highlight of, my music journey, because I've had a couple of really amazing experiences with great artists. I have.
We're going to ask
about collaborations.
Yeah.
What collaborations? This is a worship session. What active collaborations have you done?
Active at the moment. I have a song coming up with. I've not officially announced it.
Okay, with someone. Okay.
God's with Oil. Okay. I can say that.
Okay.
Oh right.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, that's good.
God's with Oil. We've recorded just final touches here. So.
Yes. I hope it will blow just as well. Or it will bless.
Yes.
I think in all of it, the songs bless people. Because we talked about upbeat music, and people will dance to anything. We Nigerians, we dance.
Yes.
You can play gospel song in the club for people will dance to it, and just you understand, they will dance. It's a song, and we're Nigerians. But I'm prayerful for you that you still continue in this light, but what do you see? What else do you want to see in the future apart from the song you recorded with Pastor Oyo? What other What do you see, in the future, in the five years from now? What do you see yourself doing in the industry?
Start touring, right? I'm influenced by getting people to listen to the type of song I do, like just get them have a listen and let it encourage them. So I really wanted to spread, get more people to listen to these songs. So all over the world, start touring, tell them about Jesus, about the person that inspires these songs, let them listen to these songs. So in the next 5 years, I, trust the Lord that these songs will spread all over Nigeria, all over the world. Yes.
Wow. So while we are talking about spreading the song, I'm just trying to cue the director. We would listen to some of your songs again, but I see that you do more of worship.
Yeah.
Worship, and why did you decide, I think, to stay in that space and not do both, like praise and worship?
So, what praise and worship? Well, it's the same thing. It's just the beats that
differentiates them. But when you do praise, it's sometimes high praise,
Yes. Like I said earlier, I'm usually influenced. I was influenced by folk type of music, folk type of music. So that influences how I write too. And I don't like to force it. I want every song I write to be genuine. I'm a musician. I can as well just, go to the studio, cook up something that's really upbeat and put it out there because I want it to be accepted. But I want to be true to myself. I want to be true to myself, true to how I write these songs. So I also have a very upbeat song. I've not put it out, but that was not forced to. I just want to do what, as it comes, let it flow, really. So, but yes, largely, type of music I do is largely a lot of acoustics, a lot of guitars, a lot of keyboard, yes.
Mm-hmm. So. And let's look a bit into nation building, as everyone is going to contribute their own quota to the development of the country. Gospel songs, you see, it would minister to people to be calm even in the face of challenges and all of that. Do you think gospel artists should do more in that area too? Of course, we expect everyone to do their bit, but just because you're in that space, that's why that question is now.
All right. In terms of nation building, our faith helps us be good citizens. In the Bible, Paul tells Timothy to pray for the leaders, right? Because our faith affects how we, see every individual we meet. And part of the things that our faith teaches us is that we should teach them about Jesus, tell them about the gospel, because Jesus is able to change their lives, right? And help them be better people, right? So if you're a good Christian, it's going to affect how you interact with people. It's going to influence what you do when you see a poor person. You should give them something, you should lend a helping hand to somebody that is in need, because that is what our Savior would do. You should let you know that you should not be rebellious to the people ahead. If you're at a job, right? Our faith influences how we behave, how we speak, not act out of character, right? So essentially, if we're good Christians, we're going to be good citizens of Nigeria.
Well, right. That's very good. And then there are other things. How would I put it now? Are you into full-time music ministry? What else do you do outside of music? What else do you love to do? Outside from being a lover of chemistry, of course. What else do you like to do? I'm sure you have other things that you like to do.
I have a 9 to 5.
Okay, right. I was going to say, ask. Right.
I have a 9 to 5. It's in tech.
Okay.
Yeah, like I audit the tech guys.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's what I do.
So I'm trying to connect everything now.
Chemistry,
music, and tech.
Yeah.
How did that tech come about?
I found interest in it, and I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to put pressure on music, in the sense that maybe if I get invited for an event, I'm not going to, because of desperation, to feed my family because I'm married, right?
I was coming to that.
Out of desperation, because I'm going to need money, right? Put so much pressure on that and not be true to the calling. I don't want to dilute the originality, the purity of the calling that I have. So that's why I got a job, all right? And that helps to feed the family, So I have a 9 to 5.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about family.
Okay.
I've been asking that we listen to your song. I'm sure it will come, but before that, let's talk about family.
Okay.
Some people will say, okay, let me face this career first before family, but you've been able to manage both.
Yes, well, I'm married to the love of my life. So I really am, and I'm a family man, in the sense that I've always been thinking about family even before I met my wife. I've been thinking about my kids, how to raise kids. I have mentors that I look up to in the area of how they raise their kids. And so it's something that's always been at the back of my mind. And I believe that family is a very important unit in society, right? The reasons why we have some broken adults is because they're from broken homes, right? And some of them, a lot of them, is not their fault, but some things happen. So when we have a lot more old adults too, is because their parents raised them right. Sometimes when you see a young person misbehaving, you say, who raised you? Right? So family is very important, and I believe, as an upcoming father, right? When I begin to have kids, I have a responsibility to raise somebody for the generation, for society, right? To impact the next person, right? So family is really, really important to me. Family is really important to me.
And that one thing in the family, would you say that people should hold on to? Because sometimes you find families are torn apart for different reasons, that sometimes you would think this should be something that we should solve, but because of different issues, you find that. What would be that one thing that you say, when you have a family, you should hold on to this?
I'm going to come from a Christian perspective, because my faith drives a lot of things, right? As two Christians coming together to build a home, you're equally yoked. You believe the same things. You're driven by the same things, right? That sincere love for each other just helps you. It drives you. It helps you to know that we've already done the right things before we got married, and we saw that we are fit for each other. And so we can do this, we are going to make this work, do whatever it takes. You're going to make sacrifices that's required to stay in this home, because we have children to raise, and we don't want them to come out of a broken home, right? But apart from that, genuine love for each other, ensure that we keep the love burning. I'm just 2 years married, so I don't have so many things to say, but ensure that we keep the love burning. That's what the adults, the ones that have been married for many years.
Quickly, we're closing in about a minute now.
Okay.
Quickly to, you said the love of family is highest, but I know single people who say they've not seen enough examples of how marriages should be, so they're scared of getting married, and they're Christians as well. So drawing from the faith that you draw from, what advice would you give to such people? And they're real Christians, and not just lukewarm Christians. I put it that way.
I think bad bad in the sense that, not bad, but like failed marriages, let me use the right word, also have like really a lot of PR. That's why I like this generation of Christian couple influencers. I like it because they're helping us to project the fact that there are great families out there.
Yeah.
You know, people that have married for 20 years, even more. I like it when they put themselves out there, let people know that we can also, and we are not faking it. We're not faking it, we're making it work. And we've been doing this for decades, right? So yes, we can see them as examples.
And thank you for your advocacy as well.
And thank you, and we wish you all the best
in
your music journey, and hoping that the lives you want to touch would indeed be touched, and you know, you'll be happy for it too.
Amen. Thank
you.
Thank you very much.
Well,
we've been having a chat with Ademola Makinde. Yes.
Makinde.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right. And thank you all, too, for a splendid time with you on Sunrise. We had a lovely time. I'm Joker Rogers.
And I'm Yomi Otaigbe. Do enjoy the rest of your day.